This group of constellations is Perseus, Auriga, and Gemini. These are considered generally fall and winter constellations, although Perseus is visible for much of the year. The part of the sky you can probably see some brighter stars in here. Over here is Perseus, who is supposed to represent, or this constellation is supposed to represent, a hero. It's a pretty odd shape, and I just kind of remember the odd shape and don't worry about it trying to represent much of anything. Next door is Auriga. It's got a dashed line down there going to that one star, which the star that the dashed lines connect to is actually in Taurus, but it's barely in Taurus, and so that star is shared for the asterism of Auriga and asterism for Taurus. A little part of Auriga is this group of 3 stars here, which are called the kids. Auriga is supposed to represent a charioteer. For some reason in the early star atlases, the charioteer would be shown carrying some baby goats, and so those 3 stars are the baby goats. And then next door to Auriga is Gemini. This is one of the constellations of the zodiac. We have several stars to learn in this group of constellations. The Gemini twins are Pollux and Castor. And the way I remember it is personal computer, Pollux and Castor, left to right. Capella, there is the brightest star in Auriga, and then a couple of bright stars in Perseus, Murphak, and Algol. Algol is known as the demon star. It's not for sure known why that happens to be the case, but Algol is the ghoul in Arabic, and so it's kind of a spooky thing. Perseus was the hero who killed the Medusa or the Gorgon, and so maybe that's why that star was supposed to represent the Medusa's head or something like that. Nobody knows for sure. Okay, this will show a somewhat different orientation of these stars, but also some nearby constellations. So there's Gemini there. To the right of Gemini, or above it on this picture, is Auriga. And then other constellations in this part of the sky. Taurus is right here. Taurus is a great big V. We'll study it in another presentation. But you can see that one star that has the dashed lines to it in Auriga technically belongs to Taurus, but it's right on the boundary between the 2 constellations, or just barely inside the part for Taurus. And then down here is Orion, and up there is the Pleiades, which is a star cluster that belongs to Taurus. Perseus again, and a near neighbor of Perseus up here is Cassiopeia, and then Andromeda. So this is a part of the sky that's fairly crowded with fairly interesting constellations and bright things. One of my favorite things to just look at through binoculars is the area of Perseus up around Murphak. There are many bright stars in that area and lots of interesting groups of stars. Also, something else that almost everybody likes to look at who's got a telescope is on a line between kind of that corner of Perseus and then these stars in Cassiopeia, and it's right in here. So it's about 2/3 of the way from Cassiopeia down to Perseus, and it's the Perseus double cluster. And this is a nice thing to look at either through binoculars if you've got them held on a stand so they're steady. Higher power binoculars work better. 7x50s, this looks a little small, but if you've got some that are up around 15 or 20 power, this looks pretty good. Or a telescope under low magnification, like with a 32 or a 40 millimeter eyepiece, you may be able to catch both of these in one single field of view. And this is what they look like here. The double cluster is a couple of clusters of bright young stars. They're only about 12.8 million years old, which is really young for stars. Although the types of stars they are blue-white supergiant stars, and they don't have very long lifetimes. Their lifetimes are measured in the millions of years instead of the billions of years like our sun's lifetime is. These two clusters are both about 7,500 light years away. The fact that they're both composed of the same type of stars, they're both moving away from us at almost the same, or moving toward us, at almost identical speeds. They're probably all formed together in some large cloud. Giant molecular cloud is what they're typically referred to as. Both of them have about 300 or more than 300 stars in them. And these are far enough north that they're always above the horizon for our latitude. There's another object to look at in this part of the sky, also still in Perseus. And it's right in this region here, Messier object number 34. And this is an open cluster again. This one has about 400 stars, although you don't see nearly this many when you're looking through a telescope at it. This one's older, about 200 to 250 million years old. It has about 400 stars in it. And it is, because of its age, some of the larger stars in it have already passed through their main sequence phase, and they're white dwarf stars. So that's something that we'll learn about when we study stellar evolution, is how stars age. And that's it for this group of constellations.